Imagine a missile traveling at 10 times the speed of sound. No warning, no radar signature, no time to think. By the time your system detects it, it has already hit. Israel has one of the most advanced missile defense systems ever built. They call it the Iron Dome. The world calls it a miracle. But somewhere in the mountains of Iran, Russia, and China, engineers are building something the Iron Dome was never designed to stop. This is not a hypothetical. This is the arms race that could rewrite the Middle East, and almost no one is talking about it. The Iron Dome was born from a nightmare Israel had already lived through. In 2006, Hezbollah fired over 4,000 rockets into northern Israel in just 34 days. Cities emptied. Hospitals were overwhelmed. 1 million civilians were displaced within weeks. Israel's answer was radical. Instead of only striking back, they would build a shield. A computerized, radar-guided, AI-assisted shield that could think faster than human hands ever could. By 2011, the Iron Dome was operational, and it worked. During Operation Pillar of Defense in 2012, it intercepted nearly 84% of every rocket it engaged. The world watched in disbelief. Military analysts called it a revolution. Politicians called it a turning point. Parents in Tel Aviv called it the reason their children were still alive. But here is the question no defense contractor wanted to answer out loud. What happens when the threat stops flying in a straight, predictable line? The Iron Dome is not a wall. It is a calculation. The moment a rocket is launched, its radar, the LM-2084, detects it within seconds. A battle management computer runs thousands of probability equations simultaneously. It asks one cold clinical question. Will this missile hit a populated area? If yes, intercept. If no, let it fall. Every decision is made in under 4 seconds. Each Tamir interceptor costs approximately $50,000. Each Hamas rocket it destroys costs less than $1,000. Israel has been playing a very expensive game of mathematics, and for years, it has been winning. But the Iron Dome's entire architecture rests on one critical assumption, that the incoming threat travels in a predictable arc, a ballistic curve, a path that a computer can calculate and chase. Hypersonic weapons do not have a predictable arc. They do not follow the rules, and that changes everything. A hypersonic weapon travels above Mach 5, which means 5 times the speed of sound. But raw speed is only half the danger. The other half is maneuverability. Unlike traditional ballistic missiles that follow a fixed trajectory after launch, hypersonic glide vehicles skim the upper atmosphere, changing direction mid-flight, unpredictably, constantly. They fly low enough to avoid space-based detection systems, and fast enough to outrun every interceptor currently in active service anywhere in the world. In April 2023, Iran unveiled the Fattah, a domestically developed hypersonic ballistic missile. Iranian state television called it unstoppable. They announced it could defeat all known missile defense systems, including the Iron Dome. Western analysts dismissed the claim publicly. Privately, the conversations inside defense ministries were very different, because here is the terrifying reality that no press briefing fully explains. You cannot intercept something your radar sees for only 3 to 8 seconds before impact. The Tamir interceptor needs at least 15 seconds of reliable tracking time to engage a target successfully. Do the math. The math is brutal. The window does not exist. Israel currently operates 10 Iron Dome batteries. The country is roughly the size of New Jersey. 10 batteries sounds significant until you look at a map and trace the gaps. The port of Haifa, the nuclear research facility at Dimona, the Ben Gurion Airport corridor. These are not random locations. These are precisely the targets that a sophisticated adversary has already plotted, calculated, and rehearsed in simulation. Furthermore, the Iron Dome was designed to handle dozens of simultaneous incoming threats. Hezbollah alone is estimated to possess over 150,000 rockets and missiles, some of them precision-guided. A saturation attack, launching hundreds of projectiles simultaneously from multiple directions, could exhaust Iron Dome's interceptor inventory entirely before it ever encountered a single hypersonic threat. The shield would be empty before the real weapon arrived. And there is one more detail. A classified fragment that slipped into the public record during a 2021 Israeli Parliamentary Defense Committee hearing. A single sentence from an unnamed general, translated and briefly published before the transcript was partially redacted within 48 hours. He said, "Our current systems have a defined ceiling, and what comes next may be above that ceiling." No journalist followed up. The record was quietly sealed. Israel is not standing still. They never have. The Iron Dome is actually just one layer of a four-tier national defense architecture. David's sling handles medium-range ballistic missiles. The Arrow 2 and Arrow 3 systems are engineered for long-range threats, capable of making intercepts outside the Earth's atmosphere entirely. But the most fascinating development is the Iron Beam, a high-energy laser system developed by Rafael Advanced Defense Systems. No ammunition, no reload delay. A cost per intercept of approximately $3.50 worth of electricity. In April 2022, Israel's Defense Ministry released verified footage of Iron Beam successfully destroying a drone, a mortar shell, and an anti-tank missile in live operational tests. But here is where the story becomes complicated and honest at the same time. Laser systems are significantly affected by dust, humidity, sand particles, and atmospheric interference. The Middle East is a desert environment, and hypersonic weapons generate superheated plasma fields during high-speed flight that can scatter and deflect concentrated laser energy before it reaches the target. Even the Iron Beam, Israel's next potential miracle, carries a known physical weakness. Against the exact category of weapon it may urgently need to stop. Here is what the headlines almost never tell you. The October 7, 2023 Hamas attack did not use hypersonic weapons. It did not use advanced technology at all. It used motorcycles, paragliders, decades-old rifles. And it still killed over 1,200 people, took hundreds hostage, and exposed catastrophic failures across multiple layers of intelligence and defense. Now ask yourself one uncomfortable question. If a non-state actor with primitive weapons could breach Israel's defenses on that scale, what does a state actor with hypersonic missiles, electronic warfare systems, satellite intelligence, and silent international backers look like? Iran, Hezbollah, and behind them, the quiet suppliers, Russia and China, nations that have not only tested but operationally deployed hypersonic systems, and nations that carry every strategic incentive to see those technologies transferred to Israel's adversaries over time. In 2024, during Iran's direct missile attack on Israeli territory, one of the largest ballistic strikes in modern history, Israel and its allies intercepted over 300 drones and missiles in a single night. It was presented to the world as an overwhelming success. What was never loudly confirmed in the days that followed is that several ballistic missiles did in fact reach Israeli soil. The damage was officially described as minimal, but the penetration was real. They got through. Those were conventional ballistic missiles, not hypersonic ones. There is a boy in Tel Aviv who has grown up his entire life hearing sirens. He knows the shelter drill before he knows how to drive, run, count to 90, wait for silence. His parents tell him the dome will protect him, and for most of his life it has. But somewhere, in a reinforced mountain bunker in western Iran, engineers who have never seen his face are solving equations about how to reach him anyway. Not out of hatred for him personally, but because in modern warfare, a child sleeping peacefully is simply a variable inside someone else's calculation. The Iron Dome is not a myth. It is one of the most extraordinary engineering achievements in the entire history of modern military defense. But it was built for a world that no longer fully exists. The next war, if it comes, will not announce itself with slow rockets arcing visibly across a night sky. It will arrive in seconds, in near silence, moving faster than any human thought can track. The question is not whether Israel has a shield. The question is how long before the spear becomes faster than the shield can think. Defense is not a destination. It is a race with no finish line. And in that race, the side that stops innovating first loses everything. The Iron Dome changed the nature of modern warfare. But the weapons being designed, tested, and quietly transferred right now were built specifically to change it again. Stay informed. Because in this world, understanding the threat is always the first line of defense.